Hope this video helps. Please check out my playlist, Evidence for Christianity, Evidence for the Bible, and End Times. I'll leave a link in the description for all three. Thanks. Alright, time to change the oil on my 2013 Hyundai Sonata. Set your emergency brake. Pop your hood. And the oil fill cap says takes 5W20. Owner's manual shows it takes a little under 5 quarts. Here's my 5 quarts of 5W20 and the oil filter. So I had to jack it up a little. So I got a jack stand on both sides near the wheel. Also got some bricks behind the wheels just in case something goes wrong and it wants to roll backwards. Time to go under. And right there is your oil filter. And back, pretty much straight back, is your oil drain plug. And then I have my oil catch pan there, and make sure that it can hold the full 5 quarts that drains out of it. So I have a 17 millimeter for the oil drain plug. Alright, so there's my oil drain plug. Got my catch pan underneath it. Alright, time to let it drain. You can also take the oil fill cap off to allow it to drain a little faster. And also, you can lift up on the dipstick, kind of let the air go through so it drains faster and doesn't trap any oil. Alright, time to wipe the oil drain plug off. Make sure, just get any debris and oil residue off of there so we can get a fresh start. Same with your oil fill cap. Go ahead and wipe that off. So when putting the oil plug back in, it's supposed to be 25 to 33 foot-pounds torque. Alright, down to a drip. Going to put the drain plug back in. First you want to wipe off the surface where the drain plug meets the engine. Okay, now it's time for the oil filter. You want to make sure you have your drip pan underneath it because it will leak oil. So you should be able to get it off by hand. I wasn't able to get it off by hand from that little access hole, so I had to pull this down and pull this out from underneath this lip and reach in there, and then I had to put a belt clamp on it to get it off. So it's loose now. I'm going to go ahead and remove it and go from there. So this is the belt clamp I used if you need to get one. Alright, now that it's loose, I'm going to take it out. And it'll probably start draining oil. Alright, there it goes. So I'm going to let it drain that oil before I go taking it out all the way. Now that most of it's drained, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and try not to tilt it too much because it will probably be completely full of oil. There we go. And then, so I dropped the oil filter into the catch pan and accidentally made a huge mess, but thank goodness I had it on a box and it caught most of it. So I wiped up what little bit I had spilt onto the floor. Time to get back to it. So something you need to check for is the gasket to make sure that it is still on the old oil filter. And this one it is not. And if you look up in there, there's a black O-ring up where the oil filter was. So I got to get that O-ring off of there. There's the gasket. I was able to just reach up in there and pull it off. It came off easy. Now that the O-ring is off of there, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the surface that the O-ring sits on. So just go around and wipe off any debris and old oil from that surface that the O-ring is going to sit on. So I fished the oil filter out of the catch pan and just want to compare the two, make sure they look like they're the same. They definitely look good. So now let's get the new filter prepared. It has a plastic cover over the top. Make sure you get all the plastic off. So I always like to put some oil down into the oil filter first. Maybe half full. Now I use the fresh engine oil to put on the rubber seal, the rubber O-ring here, to make it seal good. So let's put the new oil filter in. From the bottom here. And you want to make sure if you're doing this that you do not get any dirt down into that oil filter. And hand tight should be good enough. There we go. And if you look up through where I pulled the cover down, you can see that it's up there flush with the base of where the oil filter meets the engine. Time to fill her up. Got my funnel here. And I want to make sure that I don't overfill it. So I'm just going to put 4.75 quarts in there. I went ahead and lowered the engine for this part. Alright, engine's running, so let's go underneath and see if there's any leaks. I don't see any dripping. Looks good. Looks good. So one thing I did have happen was I had a drip from my oil filter, and it was because when I poured oil into the oil filter, this rim here has that gap, and I had gotten some oil into that, and then when I pulled the car out, it tilted the car back because the driveway has a tilt, and then it dripped oil off of the oil filter. So just be aware of that. If you get oil down into this lip, it could drip out and look like you got an oil leak, but you really don't. So I ran the engine for about 15 minutes and let it set at least a couple hours now, and it's on a level surface. So let's see how much oil we got in there. Looks like it's right there. So I ended up adding a little bit more to the engine, and you can't even see how much is left in there, but there's just a little bit left. You can hear it, so it makes sense that it's just a little over 4.8 quarts, that there would be a little bit left. So now that we're done, make sure you go ahead and get all of your jack stands and your jack out from underneath. Get your bricks out from behind the tires. So once you're done with your old oil, don't just dump it anywhere. You can put it back in the container that you use for the new oil, and then take it to an auto parts store like O'Reilly's or AutoZone. You might want to check first, but some of those places have a place that you can dump your old oil, and they'll take it off your hands for you. Alright, so before taking it on a spin, make sure that you release the emergency brake. Thanks for watching. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave a comment in the video. Also, you can join me on MeWe. I got a public group called Share Your Trade. So you can go on there. I'll leave a link in the description, and you can ask any questions there as well. And I got some links to some of my playlists that show a bunch of the stuff that I've done. All right.